What the president's saying, he's lying. Speaker Johnson's lying. They're lying to the American people. It's shameful. Period. Full stop. They know that. I mean, they can't even hide that fact. You can see their physiology and almost a smile on their face when they suggest that. So I reject the premise of their assertions. Period. Full stop.
Pues señores, el gobernador de California, Gavin Newsom, sigue en pie de guerra contra Donald Trump. Este viernes pasado realizó 2 conferencias de prensa consecutivas, dejando muy claro quién es el que está liderando el país y quién lo está hundiendo. En la primera, junto a sindicatos, anunció que va a permitir que más de 800,000 trabajadores de aplicaciones como Uber o como Lyft puedan sindicalizarse. Y en la segunda conferencia, desde la Universidad de California en Berkeley, habló sobre el avance en tecnología cuántica y cómo es que California sigue dominando ese campo mientras Washington, bajo el caos de Trump, se hunde en el fracaso. Pues en ambas apariciones, Newsom comparó el liderazgo de California con la ineptitud de Donald Trump y los republicanos en Washington, y dejó claro que mientras ellos destruyen, él está construyendo el futuro. Pues bueno, durante su conferencia en Berkeley, Newsom fue contundente al hablar sobre este tema del cierre de gobierno y dijo que los republicanos están mintiendo descaradamente al pueblo estadounidense, lo cual lo saben y que pues bueno, es una vergüenza. Pero lo dijo con calma, con seguridad, con datos y con la autoridad de un líder que gobierna mientras otros solo destruyen. Escuchemos esto.
I don't think a shutdown advantages anybody, so I hope we can find compromise. It's difficult to do that with a guy who was more interested in playing golf over the weekend.
Do you think Democrats should?
I'll continue.
Democrats
Not only he played golf all the weekend after canceling a meeting with Senate Democrats. The President of the United States canceled a meeting with the leaders in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, and then felt it was more important, hours before a shutdown, to play golf. And then, rather than having a serious meeting, decided to troll those leaders with a Trump 2028 hat that he put on the Resolute desk and sent out a tweet after he sent out an AI video doctored with a racist video of Speaker Jeffries in a sombrero. These are not serious people.
Más adelante volvió a cargar contra Trump y también contra Mike Johnson. Y él dijo, Trump miente, Johnson miente, todos mienten, son mentirosos. Punto. Escuchen.
What the president's saying, he's lying. Speaker Johnson's lying. They're lying to the American people. It's shameful. Period. Full stop. They know that. I mean, they can't even hide that fact. You can see their physiology and almost a smile on their face when they suggest that. So I reject the premise of their assertions. Period. Full stop.
Can you explain how it's different for Medi-Cal?
States have the ability to do what states do, independent of the federal contributions. And so they're completely, I mean, I guess they're trying to connect their displeasure with what California and many other states do with state resources in this space. And that is a very separate conversation. It's a separate topic. It has nothing to do with their assertions in relationship to the government shutdown.
También explicó por qué es que había llegado un poco tarde a este evento y es que afirmó que estaba reunido con trabajadores, porque California apoya el trabajo, a la gente que es la que mueve la economía y que no van a dejar atrás a quienes hacen posible este estado.
I was a few minutes late, and I think it bookmarks this moment, if I may, just point of personal privilege. We were a few minutes late because we were with members of SEIU International. I just signed a bill today around gig workers. Has the prospect of organizing up to 800,000 members in the gig economy into the union to give them voice, to give them choice, give them dignity, and a say about their future. I say that because it needs to be said. I'm not naive about how people are feeling about their future. I'm not naive about the anxiety and stress that not just marks this moment, but frankly has marked decades where people feel they're being left behind, that they don't have a voice, they're not being seen, they're not being heard. And I imagine at a press conference like this, when we're talking about the future, we're talking about fusion, we're talking about quantum, it may feel a little alienating, even more so to some people, because they don't necessarily see their future attached to it. And that's why I was very proud to attach my signature to that bill today and build on the work we're trying to do here in the state of California to reconcile the fact that 2/3 of the wealth in this country is in the hands of just 10% of people. Those 10% of people are about half of our consumer spending. The imbalance, and I referenced Pericles in my comments a moment ago, the imbalance between the rich and the poor, as Pericles said, is it's the oldest and the most fatal ailment of all republics. He said that over 2,200 years ago, warning the Athenians about that reality. And I say that to punctuate that point and how proud I am that we are pointing our North Star towards actually trying to address that issue. Yes, with the organizational efforts that we just advanced today, with gig workers, the work we've done to organize the first bargaining unit of its type in the child care space in this country, the fact that we proudly provided minimum wage for healthcare workers at $25, the highest in the nation, and proudly did the same for those folks that are working full time and struggling to make ends meet in the fast food sector as well at $20. Those are points of pride, as it is an extension, a point of privilege to sign these two bills, connecting that dot. It's about growth and inclusion. Growth and inclusion. And I'm very proud to be part of this inclusive community here at UC Berkeley.
Luego expresó su orgullo por el sistema universitario de California en Berkeley y todo el sistema estatal, y afirmó que mientras Trump intenta llevar al país hacia atrás, California apuesta por el futuro.
To be here with people that aren't just the best and the brightest, but truly represent the best and the brightest around the globe. It was amazing to walk in the labs downstairs and to see the world here at UC Berkeley. I just reflect on the wrecking ball of policymaking that's going on 1,600 miles away on H-1B visas and issues around academic freedom, the assault that we are experiencing. And I think about how precious this place is, this moment is. And I think about our relationship to it and the imperative of continuing to maintain our leadership at the same time we maintain our values. And I guess that's the long-winded point. And so I'm very proud of the work this legislature has done this year. I'm very proud of the work we're doing and continue to do to dominate in fusion and quantum. I am not naive, as Buffy suggests, that if you don't invest in the future, you're not going to do very well there. And that we have to invest in our lead. California is sort of infamous of dominating sectors and then, frankly, resting on our laurels. I'm not naive about what Illinois and Connecticut have been doing in the quantum space. I'm not naive about the investments others are making. Success, after all, leaves clues. And so that's really the spirit of these two bills. It's to build off, as Didi said, this dominance in terms of access to capital, 2/3 of the venture capital in this space, coming through the state of California, dominate in terms of our conveyor belts for talent, which is our research institutions and the partnerships with, Lawrence Berkeley Labs, Lawrence Livermore Labs, as it relates to that 2022, landmark, fusion moment. Not even a moment. You know the nano of a nanosecond, but what it represents. And, we say it all the time. Future happens here first, where America's coming attraction. We are in the future business. That's what separates the game played here from the game played everywhere else in California. And it's precious. And in closing, it's because we have a formula for success. It didn't happen by chance. And that conveyor belt for talent, it's about investing in that conveyor belt for talent. These universities, best in class. And I'm surprised the chancellor left without bragging once again. UC Berkeley, finest public university in the United States of America. As the president suggested, this system has no peers. More active patents coming out of this system than any other public university system on planet Earth. This is just extraordinary extraordinary that it's happening here in our state. And so to all those extraordinary people that make it happen, I'm proud and privileged to be able to send a message to all of you and to the private sector, to our partners that we worked with so closely to create a quantum science and engineering complex down at UCLA in Southern California, where the state invested hundreds of millions of dollars to partner with immunology and immunotherapy to advance those disciplines in concert and in partnership, to look at cross-pollination and collaboration, to stack all of these disciplines and bring people of all walks of life together. That's what these two bills do. It builds on all of that, provides resources, and maintains that North Star of a resourceful mindset, and I think sends a signal that we believe the best is yet to come.
Y finalmente cerró con un golpe directo a los líderes republicanos en Washington, afirmando lo siguiente: Mike, pequeño hombre Johnson, no puede ni mantener abierto el gobierno. Kevin no sabe contar, McCarthy, un expresidente fracasado, y todos sus secuaces patéticos gastan millones de dólares solo para ayudar a Trump a manipular elecciones, a manipular escándalos y a esconder todo lo que podría hundir a Trump. Escuchemos.
Stop Newsom's power grab. Vote no.
The redistricting battle continues, and opponents are doing everything they can to persuade voters.
Campaign finance filings released Friday show it was just 130 people that funded all of the anti-redistricting ads.
And now some Republican backers are looking to take their messaging a step further.
Whether it's with billionaire donations or congressional seats, Trump wants to stack the deck in his favor. He wants to have an unfair advantage, however he does it.
Ahí lo tienen, señores, Gavin Newsom. Al parecer no solo está gobernando, ¿no? Sino que, si lo vemos desde una perspectiva de líder, tiene hechos. Mientras Trump solo se hunde en ¿qué? Ustedes se dan una vuelta por sus redes sociales y lo único que pillan son memes, lujos dorados y puras mentiras. California avanza, Washington se derrumba. Y como siempre, ¿no? Los hechos hablan por sí solos. Ahora bien, amigos, una tierra sin ley, tal y como lo escuchan. De este modo es en el que los trabajadores federales se están pronunciando mientras este cierre de gobierno no se detiene. ¿Se imaginan trabajar años por tu país, servir al pueblo y de repente, ¿no? Que tu propio gobierno te deje, aparte de sin sueldo, te está amenazando con despedirte? Porque eso es exactamente lo que están viviendo miles de empleados federales en Estados Unidos con Donald Trump. Quiero que hablemos de este tema que al parecer grandes medios están intentando maquillar un poco, pero que en realidad sí refleja el caos interno que tiene Estados Unidos. Literalmente se está convirtiendo, como dice, en una tierra sin ley. Este cierre de gobierno, este shutdown, ha dejado a cientos de miles de trabajadores sin paga, con miedo y bajo una campaña sistemática de intimidación. Y miren, por el tema del sueldo, ok, la verdad que tampoco es la gran cosa, viendo desde el lado perspectivo, ¿no? Aquí el tema está el miedo, señores. Te pueden despedir sin razones, solo por parcialidad. Vemos una campaña sistemática de intimidación. Pero lo grave es que no se trata de un accidente, no se trata de un error, no se trata de que simplemente los dos partidos no pueden consensuar. Amigos, hablamos de una estrategia que viene planificada desde adentro, de hace tiempo. Y esto es parte de la Agenda 2025. Pero bueno, escuchemos qué es lo que tienen que decir estos trabajadores federales.
Government shutdown is bringing new pain to federal workers who've already endured months of cuts from the Trump administration. During the shutdown, about 750,000 federal employees are expected to be furloughed each day, while thousands more are required to keep working without pay. But OMB director and co-architect of Project 2025, Russell Vought, has upped the stakes by threatening to carry out mass firings any day now. Two unions representing federal workers filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration this week, asking a judge to stop the, quote, cynical use of federal employees as a pawn in congressional deliberations. Joining us now, the leader of one of those unions, Everett Kelly, national president of the American Federation of Government Employees, along with Ashaki Robinson, president of AFG Local 476. She's also been furloughed from her job as a social science analyst with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And Yolanda Jacobs, president of AFGE Local 2883. She's been furloughed from her job as a health communication specialist with the Centers for Disease Control. Thank you all very much for coming to the weekend. I want to play another federal worker for you all right now. This is a federal worker in Utah, Robert Lawrence, National Treasury Employees Union. This is what he had to say Wednesday in Ogden, Utah.
Most of us use our first paycheck to cover our mortgage or our rent, and we don't have anything left over from that. So when they threaten our paychecks, you know, that's very personal. That cuts really deep. I know there are some people on Capitol Hill there who think that we should be able to save money. Well, when our paychecks don't even cover our rent or our mortgage, that's just not possible.
So, Ms. Jacobs, since you are not here at the table, I will start with you. What are you hearing from federal workers about how this shutdown is impacting them? How is this shutdown impacting you?
Well, for most of us here, well, for a lot of us here, I'm not going to say most of us, but for quite a few of us here, we look at the easiest week was this week, and every week afterwards, we expect it to become more difficult, especially as any reserves we might have start to be deplenished. And it is like the gentleman said a little bit earlier, a lot of federal employees pay their mortgages and their rent at the first of the month. And seeing as the second check that we are going to receive next Friday is not going to be a full check, I think that's where it's going to start setting in for a lot of people, especially those who are having really tight times now.
Mr. President, the thing that I've heard over and over and over again from federal workers is the federal workers in this country, and they're not just in D.C., they're all over the country. That's right. Most of them are not in Washington, D.C., which is very important for people to understand. They feel like they've been in a shutdown for a year. Because at the end of the day, shutdowns are about uncertainty. Shutdowns are about not knowing if you're going to have a job or get a paycheck. And this White House and this administration have been firing federal workers for months. They have lorded over federal workers that if you step out of line, you're gone, despite that not being the fact in the old days. And there are allegedly protections for folks that work in our federal government. So speak to the idea, the concept, and the feeling that federal workers have been under for the last 8 months of this administration, and this just being more of the same.
Well, you're exactly right, and thank you for having us today. But these last 9 months has been devastating for federal employees. Now, they say a shutdown, I say it's a shakedown, okay? Because, you know, we have experienced, these employees have experienced time after time, these last few months, you know, belittling, names callings. They have experienced dismantling of the agencies. And now you're talking about a shutdown, you know, that threatens the very livelihood of these employees. And they are stressed. They are stressed to the point that they don't know what to expect even next week. And you're right. These are not faceless bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. There's 85% of the federal workforce do not work in Washington, D.C., but they work throughout the communities in America. And and people don't even sometimes know who they are. Right. But they're the people that's taking care of the veterans, right? They're the people that are making sure that the skies that we fly in are safe. And they're the ones that are making sure that the food we eat and the air we breathe is good and safe.
The amount of pressure federal workers have been under this year has truly been astounding. And in the first Trump administration as well, that was when the groundwork for what we're seeing now was laid. But Ashaki, I want to ask you about the unprecedented ways the administration is now using civil service to levy political messages. They're using this shutdown as a way to extol their political messaging through you all. The housing and urban development website had a backsplash that had a very explicitly political message on it, blaming Democrats for this shutdown. Workers in other agencies reported to MSNBC and other outlets that there were out-of-office messages being sent against their knowledge and their own doing that also blamed Democrats for what we're seeing right now. What did you hear internally before you were furloughed on October 1st about how the civil service would be utilized in this political way? And what kind of damage does it do to not just the public and the public's perception of what you all do, but to morale internally? I mean, there's a lot of incredible reporting about how federal employees go to such far lengths to avoid Hatch Act violations. They do not want to be involved in politics at all. What kind of damage does this do to the future of government and public service?
It's a lawless land right now. What's going on? The agencies, our agency is violating the law all the time. They don't give us basic information about employees when they're removing them. They're removing our whistleblowers. When you go onto the HUD at Work website, I work at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. They have a splash page on every page that you go to that says something political. We're not allowed to do that.
Do we have a picture of that so our viewers can see what that looks like?
I think we just showed that.
We did. Okay.
Yeah. There it is.
It's unprecedented to have this, and I've been here for every shutdown for the past 19 years. This is not normal. There's nothing normal that's going on right now. They have been dismantling our organization since January 21st. Employees have left. We've lost 2,300 people from our organization. 2,300 federal employees left because they were bullied, because they felt as if they were being targeted. They didn't want to lose their insurance if they had been riffed or anything like that. And it has people are afraid. People are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to talk about what is going on in these agencies as they're being dismantled. So yes, right now we're going through a shutdown. We will not have paychecks. No normal person thinks that this is something that should be happening. But right now, we're at an unprecedented time where everyone is doing their best, but we're working with someone who are bad actors. They don't work in good faith. They don't work in good faith at the table in the organization, in the agency I work with. So I can't imagine that they're working in good faith at much larger levels. I can't afford to lose a paycheck, not one paycheck. I can't afford it to be late. Regardless of how much I make, I don't know that there's anyone who can afford to just take a break for a month or 2 months or a couple of weeks or a couple of days without worrying about what's going to be going on to their family, what's going to be going on with them. And as someone who's from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan, and when I go back home, I see the devastation that's happened.
Ok, amigos, para muchos esto puede ser un testimonio, pero para mí es una denuncia abierta del colapso ético del gobierno trumpista. Los propios trabajadores federales lo dicen, esto es una tierra sin ley. Y no lo dicen como una metáfora, lo dicen porque literalmente las agencias están violando reglas, están despidiendo a denunciantes, están manipulando los sitios oficiales con mensajes políticos, están utilizando el miedo como una herramienta de control. Esto no es un cierre de gobierno, como les dije hace un momento, por diferencias presupuestarias, porque no pueden consensuar. Esto, señores, es un ataque directo al corazón del Estado. Donald Trump y su gente, especialmente figuras como Russell Vought, que es el arquitecto del proyecto 2025, están utilizando este cierre como un arma política. Recordemos, Russell Vought lo ha dicho abiertamente, queremos traumatizar a los burócratas. Queremos que tengan miedo de ir a trabajar. O sea, ¿se dan cuenta? Solo con esa frase, señores, literal están celebrando la destrucción del propio aparato público, el que sostiene el país. Pero lo más perverso de todo esto es cómo han logrado convertir a los trabajadores federales, personas comunes, que revisan alimentos, controlan vuelos, garantizan la seguridad ambiental, etc., en enemigos públicos. ¿Por qué? Porque los insultan, los despiden, luego hasta los acusan de ser flojos o ser parte del Estado profundo. Amigos, es una táctica viejísima. Primero deshumanizas y luego destruyes, así de simple. Pero bueno, el trasfondo de todo es lo que les mencioné al inicio. Proyecto 2025, señores, es el plan con el que los trumpistas quieren reescribir completamente el gobierno federal con el poder. Su objetivo, simple: eliminar contrapesos, despedir a miles de servidores públicos, reemplazarlos por los leales políticos. Por eso, estos cierres no son casuales, son ensayos para demostrar que pueden paralizar el Estado cuando quieran y sin rendir cuentas. Mientras tanto, los trabajadores afectados, que por cierto, si quieren saber, son más de 750,000 personas, están atrapadas sin incertidumbre, ¿no? Sin saber qué va a suceder en los próximos días, semanas o hasta meses. No se trata solo de números. Son los mismos empleados que garantizan que, por ejemplo, sin ser muy exagerado, ¿no?, el aire sea respirable, una forma de decirlo. Que los veteranos reciban atención, que los vuelos sean seguros, que los hospitales públicos funcionen. Cuando el gobierno se apaga, el país se apaga. Simple, señores. Lo alarmante es la cultura de miedo que se está instalando. Empleados que hoy por hoy pueden sentirse orgullosos de servir a su país van a temer hablar, van a temer denunciar abusos e incluso hasta expresar simplemente su opinión. Amigos, autoritarismo puro administrativo. Lo que sucede hoy por hoy con los trabajadores federales no es un problema político, no es una pelea entre partidos, amigos, es una señal de advertencia. Tienen que verlo desde esa perspectiva. Cuando un gobierno utiliza el miedo, el desempleo, la manipulación como armas, va a destruir los cimientos del servicio público. Con ello se destruye la confianza del pueblo. Pero lo irónico, ¿no?, es que Trump y sus aliados dicen querer hacer grande América otra vez, pero están literalmente dejando a miles de familias americanas sin esperanza, sin ingresos, sin voz. Eso no es patriotismo, eso es crueldad institucionalizada. Pero bueno, señores, quiero saber qué opinan ustedes sobre todo esto. ¿Creen que esto es simplemente una crisis temporal? ¿Será que estamos viendo el inicio de algo mucho más grande? ¿Será que es un intento deliberado por desmantelar el Estado desde adentro? Pues bueno, los leo en los comentarios. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme en este video. Recuerden, como siempre, déjame tu like, comparte el contenido y suscríbete a nuestro canal. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.